What if those ancient stories about Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob weren't just history? What if they were actually a secret code? Well, today we're diving deep into mystical texts like the Zohar to decode that very secret. We're going to reveal how these figures form a living blueprint for the structure of reality itself. We're going to see how they represent a cosmic architecture, a divine body that is both the map of the entire universe and, believe it or not, the map of you. So this is really our central question, isn't it? Are the patriarchs just figures from the past? Or, as the ancient mystics believed, is there something far, far deeper encoded in their lives? You see, they saw a map of divine energy, a pattern that repeats in the cosmos, in history, and even inside each and every one of us. So we're going to follow that map together and see exactly where it leads.
All right, here's our roadmap for this journey into the Pardes, the mystical orchard of knowledge. First, we'll uncover the secret blueprint itself. Then, piece by piece, we're actually going to build the cosmic core of light. We'll watch as it extends from that core into a fully functional body, and then we're going to use some really powerful modern keys to unlock this ancient code. And finally, we'll see the full picture, this living organism called the Partzuf, and discover what it all means for your own life. Okay, let's begin with the blueprint. You have to understand, when mystical texts like the Zohar read the Torah, they aren't just reading history. They are reading code. They see the stories of the patriarchs as a foundational map, a structure that details exactly how divine energy flows into the world and organizes itself. The narrative is just the garment. The energetic structure, that's the body within.
This right here, this reveals the core secret, what the mystics call the sod. The Zohar explains that each patriarch saw God through a totally unique lens, an aspeclaria. For Abraham, that lens was chesed, unbounded loving-kindness. For Isaac, it was gevurah, or disciplined strength. And for Jacob, it was tiferet, perfect harmony. Now, here's the absolute key insight. They didn't just have these qualities, they were these qualities. They were acting as the living, breathing channels for the primary building blocks of all creation. So, how do these attributes actually work together? Well, the Zohar doesn't just hand us a dry list. Oh no, it paints this beautiful, cinematic, poetic picture. It asks us to visualize the creation of this core spiritual structure as the unfolding of a single cosmic day, with 3 totally distinct phases of light. And this is how the blueprint really begins to come alive. Our cosmic day begins right at its peak. The Zohar zooms in on the verse describing Abraham sitting at the entrance of his tent in the heat of the day. Now, this isn't just a weather report. For the mystic, this phrase is the key. It's the first phase of light, the blazing, all-encompassing, shadow-erasing light of the midday sun. And that is Abraham. That midday sun is the perfect embodiment of the Sephirah of Chesed. I mean, think about it. The sun at high noon just gives its light without any limit. It expands everywhere, it touches everyone, it erases all the shadows. That is Abraham's energy, pure, unbounded loving kindness. It's infinite expansion, what the mystics famously call the right hand of the king. The hand that is always open, always giving. So from the blazing heat of midday, our cosmic day transitions. The light starts to soften, to recede. The Zohar points us to the verse, and Isaac went out to meditate in the field toward evening. And this is our second phase of light, the descending, introspective twilight. It's a time for turning inward, for focus and contemplation. This is Isaac. And this descending twilight perfectly illustrates the Sephirah of Gevurah. See, if Chesed is pure expansion, Gevurah is its absolutely necessary counterforce, contraction. It's discipline, it's focus, it's the power to draw boundaries. The mystics call it din, or judgment. Just as twilight creates shadows and defines the shapes of the world, Gevurah brings definition and structure to reality. This is Isaac's energy, and it's so potent it's called Pakad Yitzchak, the awe of Isaac. It's the left hand, which holds back, measures, and creates form. Okay, so we have expansion and contraction, 2 completely opposing forces. I mean, how can they possibly coexist without one totally destroying the other? Well, this brings us to the third and final phase of our cosmic day's core. After Jacob wrestles with the angel all night, the Torah tells us, and the sun rose for him. The Zohar sees this not as a simple sunrise, but as a new kind of light, a light of healing, balance, and pure synthesis. This is Jacob.
And this new light, it's called Tiferet. It means beauty or harmony. And Tiferet is the perfect radiant balance between Chesed's infinite giving and Gevorah's focused judgment. Jacob, who embodies truth, or Emet, becomes the central pillar that harmonizes these two opposites. Think of a perfect sunrise. It's not the harsh, shadowless light of midday, and it's not the dim, contracting light of dusk. It's a beautiful, functional, life-giving blend of both. And this harmony is what forms the stable core of the entire Sephirotic body. So let's just put it all together here for a second. As you can see, you have these two opposing forces. On the right column, you've got Abraham's Chesed, expansive, outward-flowing love. On the left column, Isaac's Gevorah, contracting, inward-focused judgment. But the magic happens right there in the center, with Jacob's Tiferet. And it's not a compromise, it's a synthesis that creates something entirely new and way more beautiful. This powerful triad forms the stable torso, the heart and lungs, of our cosmic being. It's the foundation from which everything else can now be built. So with this stable core, this torso of Chesed, Gevorah, and Tiferet firmly established, the divine blueprint can now extend downwards. I mean, the energy needs channels to move, to act, to have a real effect in the world. So now we're moving from a central processing unit to a complete functional body that can actually stand and interact with reality. Let's map this out visually so it's really clear. Imagine the core we just built as the upper body. Chesed is the right arm, always reaching out to give. Gevorah is the left arm, defining boundaries and holding structure. And Tiferet is the balanced heart and torso. But for this body to move and act, it needs legs to stand on. The Zohar calls these the two supports of the body, the Sephirot of Netzach and Hod. And they both connect to a final point of integration, the foundation known as Yesod. Now here's where the map gets even more detailed and super interesting. The mystics mapped new figures to these lower energies. Netzach, the right leg, represents endurance, victory, a relentless forward drive. It's the active energy of Moses leading the people for 40 years in the desert, just always pushing forward. Hod, the left leg, represents splendor, glory, and structure. Think of Aaron, the high priest, with all his detailed rituals and structured service. It's a receptive, form-giving energy. Then the Zohar makes this fascinating point about the prophet Samuel, noting that he uniquely embodied both Netzach and Hod. As a prophet, he drove the nation forward, but as a judge, he established its structure. Finally, all this energy flows down into Yesod, the foundation. Embodied by Joseph, Yesod's crucial job is to gather and integrate all the energies from above, just like Joseph gathered grain and his family, before transmitting that concentrated potential out into the world.
Okay, I know, this is a lot of pretty abstract mystical thought. Chesed, Gevorah, Netzach, Hod. To make this ancient spiritual technology feel a lot more tangible and intuitive, let's reframe the entire structure using two powerful modern analogies. First, as a piece of cosmic engineering, and then as a character build in a video game.
All right, first, let's think like engineers. The core triad of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Chesed, Gevorah, Tiferet, that's the system's central processing unit, the CPU. It's doing the main work, processing the raw flow of divine will. Then the next level down, Netzach and Hod, the legs, they act as the system's I/O bus, the distribution channels that transmit the processed energy from the CPU downwards. And finally, Yesod, Joseph's Sephira, is the rendering engine and the final output port. It gathers all the processed data, formulates it into one coherent package, and then channels that final product out into the world. It's just a beautifully efficient divine architecture. Now let's switch our perspective and think like a gamer building a character. At level 1, you choose your core abilities. You've got Chesed, an expansive area of effect buff that helps everyone around you. You have Gevorah, a focused single-target strike. And Tiferet is your balanced stance, harmonizing your offense and defense. Then, as you level up, you unlock advanced skill trees. Netzach is your endurance and movement tree, letting you persist and advance. Hod is your intellect and strategy tree for planning and structure. And finally, after building up power through all these systems, you unlock your ultimate ability, Yesod, the world shaper. It channels all your accumulated power into one final reality-altering act. So we've built the core, we've extended the limbs, and we've explored how it all functions through some modern analogies. Now it's time to zoom out and see the completed picture. We need to synthesize all of these individual components, these sephiroth, these lights, into a single dynamic entity. This is the final synthesis. What we've built isn't just a diagram on a page. It's a Partzuf, a complete divine persona or countenance.
It's a living, breathing cosmic being where all the individual lights we've talked about integrate into one coherent organism. And it's a whole that is far greater and more conscious than the sum of its individual parts. The construction is finished. The Partzuf is complete. This perfect divine being exists. So the next logical question, and really the most important one, is where is it? Where do we find this intricate living blueprint? Is it just some old story about the heavens, or is it something much, much closer to home? And this brings us to our final section, and really the ultimate point of this entire mystical journey. We are going to connect this vast cosmic map directly to your personal life, to your own spiritual and psychological development. Because this blueprint, it's not just about then or out there. It's about now and in here. As above, so below. That's the fundamental principle. The Partzuf we've built is more than a map of the cosmos or a map of history. It is the map of your soul. The very same forces of expansion and contraction, Chesed and Gevurah, are playing out within you at this very moment. You have channels of endurance and reflection, Netzach and Hod, and you have a foundation, a Yesod, from which you act in the world. This isn't just ancient theory, it's a practical tool for understanding yourself. Thank you for joining us for this complete journey through the Pardes. We hope these ancient truths help you and your family improve your own dimensions this week. If you enjoyed this full chapter deep dive, please like, subscribe, and share which part of the journey touched your soul in the comments. We'll see you in the next chapter.